Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game, the podcast where I, your host Connor McCabe, bring on a guest to hear from them about a meaningful or memorable video game from a particular moment in their life. This is a podcast about what makes video games special to different people. A little bit of housekeeping up top is that anything that my guest or I plug on the episode today, you'll be able to find in a link in the show notes. So whether you're watching the video version on YouTube or listening to an audio-only version somewhere else, scroll down and you'll be able to find links to, who knows, maybe someone's social media, maybe another podcast that I'm involved with, but you'll definitely be able to find a link to our Patreon over at Super NPC Radio. That's a place where myself and Jeremy Schmidt over at Video Games at Comedy Show make bonus video game podcasts that you can get by supporting us at various tiers. It's a place where if you're looking for a way to support us, it's probably the best way to do it, where we offer, like I already said, bonus video game podcasts, depending on whether you're at the free tier, the $2, the $5, or $10. There's additional bonuses the higher up you go. So if you want to just jump in for free and see what we have going on, you can do that. You can also, if you want to hear our Games Club series, which is our weekly series where we go through a game chapter by chapter and discuss it, who knows, somewhere between 10 and 12 weeks at a time. You can find that at the $5 DJ Toad tier. Currently, our Games Club, we're covering Mina the Hollower, the action RPG from Yacht Club Games. Last quarter, we covered Batman Arkham Asylum. Before that, it was Fire Emblem Awakening. And on the free feed right now, there's a free version of that if you want to see what it's like. Our Resident Evil 4 Games Club is wrapping up. The week this comes out, there'll be one more episode. And then suddenly, our Death Stranding 2 series is going to start airing for free there as well. So if you want to find any of that, after you listen to this podcast, you're like, where was all that stuff Connor talked about? Check the show notes. I've got some nice organized links for you to find whatever you feel like. But that'll do it for the housekeeping. Let's introduce our guest for today's episode. My friend, my dear pal, my buddy who is on episode 6 of this podcast, the only one to ever record in my childhood bedroom. It's Eddie Martin.
Hey, how we doing?
We're doing great, buddy. I'm glad to have you back. I'm sorry we couldn't be this time amongst my stuffed animals, sitting in uncomfortable wooden chairs in my childhood bedroom like we did when we recorded your episode about Star Fox 64. But nonetheless, I'm glad you're here.
It would be great if we could go back to my old childhood bedroom, even though my family does not live there anymore. We could just show up and be like, hey, can we do a podcast here? Maybe they'd let us.
Let's do part 1 at Boston Way, part 2, Bazzini Court, and we'll have, I don't know, the epilogue to the show will be your parents' current house. Maybe.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I would love that. And maybe even if we would be disturbing some people, whoever lives there now.
I think they'd be down with it. Why not? I could just be like, I grew up here, and like, maybe that'll work.
You seem like a couple of nice young boys and not a couple of burglars.
Yeah,
Well, dude, if people have listened to the show before, then they're probably familiar with you because if they haven't heard you on an episode, they've probably heard me bring you up at a certain point because we were best friends growing up in childhood. We've remained such good friends to this day as grizzled near 36-year-olds as your birthday is 2 weeks away, pal.
Yeah, actually, for those of you who aren't aware, I am a middle school teacher now. I teach 8th grade, and the first day of school will be on my birthday, the first day of instruction. So
I guess
happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday. Depending on how you look at it, it could be a birthday present. It depends, but maybe fresh beginnings, I guess, for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good year.
When we were growing up, here's the back in my day segment.
Yeah, exactly.
When we were growing up, we didn't start school till the end of August.
Yeah, or like beginning of September.
Yeah. Now they end late, they start early. But people are familiar with you. You've been on the show a bunch of times. In fact, Eddie, I want to go down the list of every single episode you've ever been on for Call Me By Your Game.
This will be fun.
So if you don't mind, I'm just going to list off what I think this is like 12 or 13 episodes you've been on before. So this doesn't include any other series we've done on the network. You've been a part of the you were on at least 1 to 2 of the Zelda Games Club episodes.
Yes.
Way back in the day. I think that's the only Games Club series you've made an appearance on, but
yeah.
Nonetheless, I'm going to go down the list right now.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the proper episodes, the regular series, that is. You were, of course, I've already said it, on episode 6 about Star Fox 64. You were, then came back for you know what? I think I already know I'm missing one here. Hold on. I know I'm missing one here. Let me go ahead and I'll look it up in just a second, but it's a co-op episode.
Ooh.
I'm realizing.
Does it have to do with our green friends?
It doesn't. I have that written down. Yes. Okay. I'll go down the list and we'll see where my corrections come. Episode 125. Here comes just a string of you being on the old Call Me by Your Ballgame series. Episode 125, Super Bases Loaded 3, License to Steal. we had you on episode 129, Backyard Baseball 2005.
With Alex.
Yes, with Alex. Mm-hmm. We had you on episode 172, where we talked about Super Mario Sluggers on the Wii. We discussed on episode 177, MVP 06, NCAA Baseball. Yeah. On episode, so that's it for those, and except the ones that I forgot. Episode 207, you returned for the top 10 favorite games of all time format. This was volume 6. I think it was you, Adrian, and Garrett that I had on that one.
Yeah.
You were on this year for the N64 Diaries episode 2. In I think that was February. I had you on.
Yep.
And then for the co-op series, this is where I think I need to make a correction here, because I think this is where I forgot one. Let me check the Patreon, which is not always the most accurate place to find this, but I'm going to look into it. Backyard Baseball 2001 is what I'm searching.
Yeah.
Because I know that we did an episode on this. Yes.
We definitely talked about Backyard Baseball.
So it was actually a regular episode. Let's go. Mm-hmm. This was episode 43.
Yes.
Part of the I think this is the final Call Me by Your Ballgame episode that year, where we discussed Backyard Baseball 2001. Now for the co-op series. Mm-hmm. Speaking of our green friends, you were on co-op episode 10, TMNT Turtles in Time.
Yep.
You were on co-op episode 17, Metroid Dread.
That's right.
You were on co-op episode 27, Chrono Trigger. You were also, I've got two more, co-op episode 49, Mass Effect 2.
I don't remember being on Mass Effect 2, but I definitely, that checks out.
It was, so that was a strange episode because I actually recorded it in two parts and cut back and forth because you couldn't join me, Roxy, and Bev.
Right.
Who were also on that. So I recorded with you solo and them, and I was cutting back and forth based on the sort of topic we discussed, and I did a whole thing where I pretended what's the guy who hires
the elusive man,
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen. Yeah,
I did a Martin Sheen impression on that episode.
I vaguely remember this now.
And I cut together my voiceover with video from the game. Anyway, it's really stupid. But it was
that's awesome.
It's one of the more intricate episodes we've done. And then lastly, co-op episode 59, Sea of Stars, that we discussed last June.
Yes, I remember talking about Sea of Stars.
And that reminds me, so I must have not had you on I haven't had you on the co-op series this year yet.
No, we definitely did Wind Waker, Zelda. And,
for the Games Club, yeah.
And you had me on Link Between Worlds, because I remember I did a bit where I was pretending to be Ravio or something.
Yes,
and it was...
that's right. Oh, I love that series. That was freshly after, it's 2021 when we did the Zelda Games Club.
Yeah.
And it was not the reason. It would be we would soon after stop doing series where we had to play two Zelda games in a month, because it was just so much. Even though they were games I love and have played a bunch of times, it was a lot of work. But
seriously,
you're on that too. So counting here, just Call Me by Your Game. You're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I may have miscounted there, but 12 episodes of this series this is episode 292. And to be fair, there are 71 as of tomorrow co-op episodes out there. So you've been on, 12 of something like 360 episodes. So you don't really get an award for it, but buddy, thanks for all that. Look at all those hours you've given me in your life.
I'm honored. That's about 2 a year, because you started about 2020.
Yeah,
so.
Your first episode was January of 2020, and I started late 2019.
Well, anytime you need me, call in the bullpen. I'm here.
I love it. We'll get that arm ready. So you've been on this series just for so long. when people come back, I really like to recap their history on the show.
Sure.
I want to give you really quick, before we introduce the game and then get into your general history, is there anything that you want to catch the listener up about when it comes to yourself? Do you want to plug anything? This is your moment here, or you can even just tell them a fact about you. What do you want to share, Eddie?
Nothing really to plug. I am still, super nerdy with fantasy baseball. Still gaming. And I mentioned earlier, but the last 2 years I've been in the process of getting my teaching credential, and now I'm full-time, full board credentialed teacher, 8th grade science, and that's a lot of fun. So that's what I do for a living.
Rock on, man. Well, congrats again and great work, and good luck on this next school year that is going to be here in the blink of an eye. We're going to get into your general history with games in just a second, because as I told you before, earlier today I re-listened to your first appearance on the show, and I didn't even give you a chance to do that. But before we do that, Eddie, would you please introduce what you're bringing on for the main event in the second half of the show, and please call me by your game.
The video game I will be talking about is the masterpiece from 1991, Final Fantasy II in America, however, Final Fantasy IV in Japan. I have my copy right here. This is my OG copy, still works.
You can still see my fingerprints on it.
I think you can if you look really closely. I do think some save files might have been deleted at some point, but that's how it goes with these old games, old cartridges. But yes, Final Fantasy II.
I am so excited. This is a game that, kind of like Star Fox 64. When you brought that on, I was like, well, I know this game because of you. You're in my history with it. Your fingerprints are all over that too. So I will stop saying the word fingerprint today. When it comes to your general history with video games, buddy, even though I might be kind of aware of it, for the listener, what are some of your earliest memories of them? Do you, when that comes to mind, do you remember like watching someone play a game or getting your hands on a controller yourself?
I'm the youngest of 2 older brothers. My oldest brother is 10 years older than me. So as far as I've been cognizant, video games have existed in my life. We had the Super Nintendo. So my earliest memories are the Super Nintendo. Specifically, when I think about my first video game memories, it's walking around in Link to the Past and dying a lot, but exploring and loving it and loving all the colors and the music. And what I used to do was, you would pause the game and it would pull up your menu, like all your items. So I used to go into the kitchen and I'd open the drawers and I'd grab I'd grab different kitchen items, like whether it was like a brush to like they have like the brush to dress a turkey with or something.
Yeah, sure.
And I'd be like, that's my hook shot. And then I'd grab like a hanger, and that'd be my bow and arrow. So I'd run around with a hanger like it was my bow and arrow. So like I was pretending to be Link, and like these were all my different like items. But like in my brain, like that opening of the drawer was like me opening the menu,
yes,
if you will.
Awesome.
So definitely I've always had video games in my life, with my brother Andy, my oldest brother, he had the Super Nintendo first, and then eventually it became ours. But so basically I've always played video games. My dad's always been a big computer guy, so we had really good computers growing up.
Yeah.
That could run software like stuff, growing up. And I've just always been a game player. Still play to this day. Still
I love
my
it.
stuff. And
there's a couple things that I was reminded of by listening to your first appearance, and that is that it's on the record on the episode. You still have your family's Super Nintendo to this day. Is that still the case?
It's in my possession. I actually have it. It's actually right in that bin over there.
Oh, beautiful.
It's still a little. It's definitely got the yellow tint to it. It's well loved, but I still have it, and it's still in good shape, and it still operates and works.
So you've got that. You've also, something that we talked about on the show was like you're a very imaginative person, and you've always sort of had that ability to like. Honestly, funny that you're doing so much with, or not funny. It makes sense that you have like grown attached to Dungeons and Dragons because you've always been role playing or making your own stories. I know I brought it up in the Discord recently, but Eggheads came up on that episode. I brought it up because I think you were talking as well about, just sort of how you'd be imagining things, telling your own stories. And in video games specifically, you discussed how, especially in places where there maybe wasn't story, you would kind of make up your own.
Oh yeah, fill in the gaps.
Yes. So that sort of sets the stage for us a little bit. I'd love to hear about just a couple other highlights or games you think were sort of consequential for you growing up, whether it be a game that set you down a path or that was really special to you.
Definitely the one we're talking about today is a big one. The other big ones for me was Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Legend of the Seven Stars. And why that game was so important to me was because it was like my game, if that makes sense. Like I got it for Christmas as a 6-year-old. And that was mine. Like that's what I played. I was obsessed with it. And the same thing, you talk about the stories, fill in the gaps. I was obsessed with those characters. Final Fantasy VII was another big one for me. Both the Pokemon games. Red, Blue, and Gold and Silver. Those ones is what I mean by both. The ones we really grew up with. You've talked about this on your show. 3D Movie Maker.
Oh yeah,
was a Microsoft game that we played all the time and let us really be creative and do a lot of fun things.
And sure, some of those fun things were just fart montages, but you gotta crack a few eggs to make a cake. Is that the saying?
There's a niche for that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a niche for that. It was 8-year-olds, but there was a niche for that.
Yeah.
Those were definitely something. I mean, Backyard Baseball as well, as we talked about.
Yes.
Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, all the hits, all the hits. And then as I got older, Mass Effect, the first one, was really a game that I really enjoyed because it came out when I was in high school. And at the time, everyone was playing Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4. And I had both those games, and I would play with my friends, and I would get my ass kicked a lot. Like, I wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And I've never really been good at first-person shooters, like even like GoldenEye or all those. Like, I've never really, even to this day, I'm not good with first-person shooters or just first-person games in general. I even struggled a bit, like, with Skyrim, like the first-person view, because it just does not feel right to me. Or like in Star Fox when they force you to go in the cockpit.
Yes.
I'm like, zoom out. Yep. I don't want that. So it's just never really been my style. Anyway, since all my friends were playing that, I would play Mass Effect, and none of my friends were playing Mass Effect because, like, nerdy, single player game. They'd come over, I'd be playing it. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I was like, this game's amazing. You don't understand. There's so much you can do. And like, I remember, so that game was really like important to me. It's my favorite one of the trilogy, the first one, just for that, in a pivotal moment in life. And I remember going to the midnight launch of Mass Effect 2. I was like, I'm going to go get Mass Effect 2. I was in college, and there was a ton of people there, like in GameStop.
Yeah.
I had so many conversations with people like, oh, what's going to happen with Ashley? What's going to go on with Caden? Who did you save? Like all these like cool conversations. I'm like, I've never had this before. This is
where
awesome.
have all you people been my life?
Yeah, none of my friends in high school cared about this nerdy game. So I just, I would say those are like the high, the most influential games on my life, how I carry things out. I believe in my top 10 episode, I'm pretty sure all those games made an appearance.
Yeah, I think all the ones you just named did. A game that didn't make an appearance, I'm pretty sure, because you hadn't fallen in love with it yet, is a game I know you just haven't been able to stop playing, and that is Baldur's Gate 3. What do you have to say about this? Because you haven't had a chance on the show to chat yet.
I checked recently how many hours I put into this game. 1,061 hours.
Oh man, you are on your way to being an expert.
I do think some of it was like maybe I left the console on and was doing other things, but like still, that's a ridiculous amount. I played through the game so many times. What's really great about Baldur's Gate 3 is, people often say like Mass Effect walked so Baldur's Gate could fly.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. I mean, it's the choices you make really matter. The story's engrossing every time you play it. Mm-hmm. Even with 1,000 hours in, I'm still seeing new stuff I've never seen before.
Unbelievable.
There's all these books you can read in the game that you don't need to, but they're there if you really want flavor text. What I really enjoy is multi-classing and class building and trying out different classes, because you can do that with all your characters. You can you have like the wizard in the group, like Gale, but you can make him any class you want. So I like to try different things out and try different characters out. And I'm just this type of gamer. I just don't dig evil playthroughs.
Yeah.
I've tried doing it, and I never I usually get to like Act 3 and I'm like, I'm not really having fun with this, and I start over
sure.
and pick another character.
I
So
was thinking about that recently, and I haven't played too many games that give you an option, like a morality option.
yeah,
There are a few that I've done. I remember notably in my life, a game that means a lot to me is the original Fable, as you know. And
yeah,
I did like one dark playthrough of that, and it really just makes the game a lot easier because you're killing more characters, so you're getting more experience, and you're also getting more money and goods and
yeah.
stuff. But and I think it was kind of fun as like an experiment, but I usually have a pretty tough time as well not playing a like what I might consider a morally
Sure.
good character or role playing as like a character I create that has an ability to have like an arc like that. That's like kind of what I did in
Sure.
my Mass Effect character's arc.
Right.
Was kind of like that, where he starts off as this sort of like this chody guy comes from like a sort of colonist background,
Right.
and then sort of like changes as he goes along. But yeah, I totally know what you mean when it comes to having to struggling to I guess sort of embrace an evil playthrough or what have you.
Yeah, what's fascinating is Mass Effect and even Fable, like, you'd have like meters that fill up, like good meter, evil meter. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like with Baldur's Gate, there's no meter, there's no evil or good points, but you make choices that have consequences, right?
Yes.
And what's cool is what you're saying is like Fable was easy because you could kill more people, get more experience. In Baldur's Gate, if you talk your way out of a conversation, you still get the XP.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
you don't need to kill the goblins, like you still like you talk them out of it, you get the XP. And it's kind of like it rewards you for choices.
Yes.
So, but then again, those games had to be that way, so Baldur's Gate could be that way in the
Yes.
future because it's still a new game, a newer game.
Yeah. I was, knowing that you love this game, preparing for this episode last night, I was wondering if you have ever played, and that you love BioWare games, did you ever play KOTOR?
I missed it.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the few that I have not, but I know everyone loves it, especially because I'm a big Star Wars fan too. So
Yeah. It's kind of
yeah,
like in your Venn diagram. I'd be curious if you ever have a chance to give it a shot. I'd love to know what
yeah,
you think. I've actually dipped into it a little bit, but never given it the full shake. And yeah, I'd just mostly be curious about your thoughts someday.
will do. I'll get back to you.
I wanted to know from you, being a fairly recent adopter of the Nintendo Switch 2,
Yeah.
what your time has been like with that console and what highlights you may have. And of course, I got to hear about what you think about Star Fox 64, but what all do you have to share?
It's really smooth. I like its resolution and all that. I've mostly been playing in handheld mode.
Yeah.
I haven't really docked the thing. I mean, I dock it to charge it, but what really sold me on it was I was kind of holding off on Switch 2. And then I saw the Ocarina of Time remake trailer, and it didn't even show anything. I just got so excited, and I was like, I have to get one of these at some point. And then with the tariffs and everything, I wanted to lock mine in before prices went up. And it just so happened that Star Fox happened to be coming out like right around that time. So I'm like, perfect. Also, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I've never
Yes.
played it. Now I get to play it on Switch too. I feel like when I first got the thing, I was putting a lot of time into it. I was like really, and then I kind of have fallen off a little bit just
That's
because
right.
other things have come up. Um, but I do want to dive back into Remake. I'm still it's pretty early on into it. It's meaty. There's a lot in the game, like a
They really
lot.
they really expand that first, what could be like 3 to 10 hours in Midgar.
Yeah.
For
Uh-huh.
you, for me, is usually on the longer end. And they really blow out a lot of moments. Some I think are done so well and so interesting. Others I don't think need to be dragged on, but
Sure.
thankfully there's plenty that is skippable. And I would say the nice thing about that game compared to Rebirth, which I actually prefer the sequel, just
Okay.
as a video game, is that it is still mostly quite linear, and you
Yeah,
can just progress the story if you'd like to.
for sure.
But yeah, I'm excited you gave that a shot. Like, knowing that was a special Final Fantasy VII's been a special game to you for a long time. I've got to know though, what are your sort of overall thoughts on Star Fox 2026, the remake
Yeah.
of your favorite game of all time? Well, at one point at least, Star Fox 64.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. It really, when I saw the trailer at first, I was kind of like, I don't know.
Sure, same here.
And then once I got it going, I really enjoy the voice acting. I think it's phenomenal. I think the character designs really grew on me. I love how they look. I love how the enemies look. The game's smooth, super
Mhm.
smooth. Actually, so I brought it over to my brother's house, my middle brother, not the oldest one, Alex, my middle brother, and he, you know, he's probably the biggest sports fan you've ever met in your life, correct?
Yeah.
He decided to buy an 100-inch TV in for his backyard.
100-inch?
So he could watch 4 games at once on YouTube TV.
Okay, all right.
So we hooked that bad boy up to the 100-inch TV, and it looked awesome.
Whoa.
It was so fun to watch it, like, because I let them play through it, because I've already played through it so many times. And it was fun watching them do it and complete it. And I honestly think they knocked it out of the park. I know it's the same game, but they also added a lot of cool cutscenes. The lore for the characters is really neat. I will say it is pretty rage-inducing trying to... I got all the medals, which wasn't too difficult. They've actually made the medals a lot easier because you can start from a checkpoint and have all your progress up to there.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
like in a level?
Yeah. So the level I had the most trouble with my medal was Venom 1. Because there's just so many enemies, and you have to get 200, I believe. And even the boss you defeat at the end doesn't give you a bonus.
Oh.
So I got to the point where I was figuring out, okay, I need to have at least 100-something at this checkpoint. And if I didn't get it at that checkpoint, I just started over. Once I got that checkpoint, then I could reset from there.
Okay.
So they definitely made it quality of life easier in a lot of ways, which is normal. I mean, I feel like that's standard for video games nowadays. And honestly, like the difference between I got to start a playthrough over and checkpoint isn't that crazy. I don't think it's that bad. But what I was going to say, the rage-inducing part, was the little mini missions. There's little mini missions you can do.
Oh.
And the expert challenges are very difficult. Like, I had to walk away from the Switch like multiple times. Because I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yes.
So.
Wow. Well, I'm so glad that you got to play that. I played the demo for it and was very impressed. I just haven't been buying many new video games this year. But I fully plan to just give that thing a good shake. In fact, when it came out, I just did a playthrough of the original game on taking the hard path.
Sure.
Trying to do my best Eddie Martin impression as best I could. But
well, do you remember when we did episode 6? You used to do the segment where we'd play the game.
Yes.
And we actually played through Star Fox 64,
and it was awesome. We still have the video up on our YouTube channel for the show.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There's only about 17 or 18 of those pre-show playthroughs because I stopped doing it during COVID when I wasn't having people over or going to Jeremy's house to record anymore. But gosh, that was a really fun. Some of those videos have like more views than like most of our episodes. Whether it's someone who's like, oh, people know this person from the internet, or just Star Fox 64 fans found your video. But I have just a couple more questions to ask you during this segment before we head to break. First, the first of which is there a game that's coming out in the near future that you are highly anticipating? That's my first question.
Definitely the Ocarina of Time remake. 100%. I'm really excited to see what they do with that, especially what they did with the Star Fox remake. I mean, this hasn't been announced, but assuming that Star Fox has been received well, I can imagine they're going to do a sequel. Yeah. So whenever that comes out, I'm really excited about, because there's a lot they can do. They've at least set things up in the story to have a good sequel.
I think a lot of people share a similar hope, or at least that hopefully this game was a sort of proving ground for the developer to make a new Star Fox game. So you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. So those for sure. And then, I mean, I haven't really... What else is really like around the corner that's exciting? I'm
trying to think. I know that, I mean, most of the world is really excited for Grand Theft Auto 6, which is supposed to come out in November. I've actually never played a GTA game. I played some of LA Noire, so I have touched a Rockstar game. Have you ever played a Rockstar game?
I had GTA 4 on 360.
Whoa, okay.
It was cool. I mean, I liked it, but like it just doesn't really I'm not really into like the sandboxy, like you do whatever you want type game. It just never really gripped me. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Sometimes they can, but this just doesn't appeal to me. And I'm not trying to be like contrarian by saying same. Never really have been interested. If anything, I'd like to go back and try like 4 or 3
Yeah.
or San Andreas or Vice City.
Yeah.
But so that's coming out. I know that they're releasing a new Fire Emblem game, I think in September. Well, lots coming out in September, actually. September is kind of a crazy month because
Yeah.
seemingly every publisher is dropping their game before Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, there is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. There is the new Control Resonance, so the sequel to Control, and then like a Wolverine game from the same people who made the Spider-Man games. So
that could be cool.
But we'll see when that we get more info about Ocarina of Time remake and whenever that's going to come out. I bet I would guess November because Nintendo doesn't have anything scheduled then.
They'll drop it.
But we'll see.
One random thing that I'm probably going to purchase is Divinity Original Sin 2 because that is on Switch 2. And that's a Larian game before Baldur's Gate 3. And I hear it's very similar. So I'm like, well, why not?
Ooh, yeah. That's right up your alley.
Yeah, absolutely.
The final question that I have for you is, what's a game that you already have in your backlog that you'd love to get to at some point? It could be a short experience, a meaty one. Does anything come to mind?
Silksong.
Oh my gosh, yes. You started it, correct?
I did. I got through Act 1, and then I put it down and haven't picked it back up. But I have a Switch 2. I might as well re-download it.
Definitely worth it. I haven't experimented with this, but that seems like a game that wouldn't be so easy to just hop back into.
I'm going to start from scratch.
So that's probably the best way to do it, but God, I loved that.
It's so funny, too.
Hornet,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
Little sculpture that Jacques got me for our video game Secret Santa this year.
That's so cool, dude.
So I got actually 2 things to show off to you. So Jacques got me this wooden sculpture for Christmas, and then Charlie Mihalik, who was on that series, got me a little Hornet magnet that goes on the fridge.
What?
That she comes with her little needle there.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. This enormous brag. We got a new fridge, and so our magnets are all off of it, for temporarily. But let me know what you think of that. And then also, if you need a link and don't already have access to the Silksong Games Club, let me know so I can send that to you if you want to follow along.
I will.
But yeah. And I mean, I know I've already pitched this game to you, but I really think you'd like Mina the Hollower if you ever get a chance to dive in.
It's one I want, but I was kind of waiting for them to have a physical release.
That's
I don't know if they will or not.
I could see them doing that at some point.
Yeah.
I doubt I don't think that'll be coming this year.
Yeah.
Maybe next year. But that ends up being the case with a lot of indie developers, is that if there's a physical release, it's usually because they've done really well, and that comes later. But I'd want a physical of that too.
Yeah, I've kind of just been wanting to do that more with the way the industry is going. I kind of like having the physical thing now. So
I can relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, dude. This has been fun, just doing some general catch up, hearing a little bit more about your history with games, and really just sharing that with the listener. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll finally get into all things Final Fantasy 2/4. So, Eddie, I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game. Connor McCabe here, returning to the podcast with my guest, Eddie Martin. Eddie, hello.
Yes, Eddie, not Edward the Bard.
Not Edward. Not a spoony bard. You are your own person, no matter what. With your beautiful cartridge of the game. Let's get into it. Like I told you before, I'm going to do some basic history and context for what this game is. If you want to add any info or correct any detail, feel free. It's kind of a meaty chunk here I have from the good folks at Wikipedia. But here I go. Final Fantasy IV is titled Final Fantasy II, and its initial North American release is a 1991 role-playing video game developed and published by Square for the Super Nintendo. The game's story follows Cecil, or Cecil. What did you say? I think I always said Cecil. I assume that was because of you, but is that true?
We always said Cecil growing up. We just assumed it was Cecil.
Yeah.
I do believe it's supposed to be pronounced Cecil.
This is a Titus thing all over again.
Yeah.
But I still say Titus. Cecil I'll just be saying it for the pod.
Cool.
Who's a dark knight as he tries to prevent the sorcerer Golbez from seizing powerful crystals and destroying the world. He's joined on this quest by a frequently changing group of allies. Final Fantasy IV introduced innovations that became staples of the series and role-playing games in general. Its active time battle system was used in 5 subsequent Final Fantasy games, and unlike prior games in the series, Final Fantasy IV gave each character their own unchangeable character class. Although at a few points in the story, for reasons, members of the cast change or evolve their class, obviously to suit the narrative, which is always very fun. I'm sure we're going to get into that a little bit. This game has been ported to many platforms with varying differences. It's available in now like the Pixel remaster version, which is available on pretty much every modern system. They remade it for the Game Boy Advance. It was available on the virtual consoles when those were offered, which was actually the first way I ever owned it. Was I bought it on the Wii Virtual Console, and so that has one of my saves on it. And of course, I know I was talking to you this winter, or November. I think it was November, really, when we were together actually when I purchased Final Fantasy for the Nintendo DS, right?
I was with you. We went to the local store.
Yes,
the local video game store.
Gosh.
The Crow.
Yeah, the Crow. Game Crow? Is that what it's
Laughing
called?
Crow?
Laughing Crow.
Yeah, Laughing Crow, right?
Shout out to Laughing Crow in Modesto, California. But yeah, so there's like another version of the game that's probably the most different one. It was retitled Final Fantasy II during its initial release outside of Japan, as the actual second and third games in the series had not been released outside of the original region. All later localizations of Final Fantasy IV outside of the Wii Virtual Console version began to appear after Final Fantasy VII was released, used the original title of 4. The various incarnations of the game have sold more than 4 million copies worldwide. I've got a feeling that number's got to be way higher than that. A sequel, Final Fantasy IV: The After Years, was released for Japanese mobile phones in 2008 and worldwide via the Wii Shop channel in 2009. Have you ever messed around with the After Years? I've still never touched it.
No, and I don't think I will.
And I don't think I will.
I don't think I will.
I think that's okay.
I've seen some footage of it, and I just kind of was like, there's only one Sandlot film, right?
Yeah, it's of the same ilk. I guess in 2011, both Final Fantasy IV and the After Years were released on the PSP as a part of a new compilation, Final Fantasy IV: The Complete Collection, which also included a new game set between the two, Final Fantasy IV Interlude. Ports of the DS remake have been released. A lot of these versions have been re-released here and there, just all over systems for years.
Yeah.
When it comes to the original context, though, upon release, this game was very well received, praised for its graphics, story, characters, and soundtrack, and is often regarded as one of the greatest RPGs ever, one of the greatest video games of all time. And it pioneered, even though it might not be what a lot of people consider the quote-unquote best RPG or Final Fantasy game, it was incredibly influential. And for a lot of people of a certain age, like our age, it holds a very special place.
Absolutely.
When it comes to, I know there's a lot of facts we could share about the game. Do you think there's anything important context-wise that we should share before we get into your history with it?
Was this game a launch title for the Super Nintendo? Or did it come out after?
It was released in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and look. I don't believe it was a launch title.
Okay.
That would be huge. SNES North America launch. I'm doing a quick Google here. Was released in North America on August 23rd, 1991. Let's go ahead and go Final Fantasy IV. I mean, hopefully the right thing comes up. We'll have to see. Looks like that was released 3 months later.
Okay, so not quite, but pretty close.
So you could say launch window, though. It's pretty dang close.
I imagine they wanted to show off what the console could do with this game.
Yes.
And because there are some cool, there's some Mode 7 in here.
Yeah.
There's some transparent water.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of colors going on. And the sound chip, obviously. So I was just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, it really did a lot to show off what the console and certain chips in a cartridge were capable of.
Right.
I mentioned some details in the context about how there's an interchangeable cast of characters who, as you continue through the narrative, are coming and going for different reasons. Character classes are changing, people are dying, and then they're coming back a lot. This game is kind of known for that. It's something that we might get into, but it has at this point so much charm for me when it comes to the game. Even though when someone, betrays you a second time or comes back to life a second time, even though that might not be the best narrative choice at this point, I just kind of love it.
It's like a Marvel.
Yeah.
It's like a
Marvel coming out.
Yeah, it's a new Marvel. No, yeah, it's like comic books, right? Like heroes never really die; they always come back, right? It's kind of similar to that vein.
It's kind of I feel like it's got that. That's part of its reputation. But Eddie, let's get into it. Do you remember how you even came to play this game in the first place?
Similar to, like I said earlier with Zelda, it just existed. It was in my house. And I want to do some research on this because I was always kind of curious, because there is kind of some backstory here. We had it in the house, and then we didn't have it anymore, which I assumed oldest brother sold it for something, because he got the PlayStation like right when it came out. Because he was, 17, 18 at the time. So he was very much in that, like, it was marketed to him. He was like that, So he jumped on the PlayStation as soon as he could. Now, so we had it, then we didn't. But then at one point, my middle brother Alex and I, who's 3 years older than me, I want to say he was about 9 or 10. I was about 6 or 7. And I said, he's like, we wanted the game. We wanted Final Fantasy II again. So he asks me, the younger brother, can you call Funkoland and ask if they have any copies of... and I remember he walked me through the script. He's like, okay, you have to say, do you have any copies or any used copies of Final Fantasy II? I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the family phone. I'm like, hi, do you have any, this little 6-year-old,
even higher voice than the 10-year-old.
Oh yeah. Any copies of, and then they said they did for $50. So we pulled our money together. We got one for 50, and then that's the one I have here. So this one was that copy.
So it's kind of like when a family, has a dog that maybe passes away, and they get another dog and just name it the same thing.
Same exact thing. Yeah.
Kind of similar, but anyway.
So I text my oldest brother Andy, and I said, hey, how did you get this game? Were you a fan of the series? What's the deal? And he said, he responded with, it was a banger. And he said, it was a banger.
That
and he
is
said,
the most Andy text response I've ever heard.
Yeah. He said it was a banger. And he never played the first one.
Okay. But
he bought it for $70 when it came out. And then he said he thinks he saw it at a friend's house, and that's why he bought it.
Wow.
Which checks out. Thinking about this game, a lot of people I grew up with didn't have this game. I don't think it was super popular in America, but we had it, so we loved it. So that's kind of the story of how we got the game.
Okay.
And then Alex and I, my middle brother and I, we were obsessed with the game. So being a younger kid who was learning to read, learning to storytell, this was the perfect game for a kid to read the text, and it being as poorly translated as it is was actually honestly perfect for a child to pick up, how phrases are said, how things are spelled. And my mom's the real MVP, because she was always very encouraging with video games, especially because she knew we were playing stuff like this. We were playing we had to use our brains. We had to read. We had to problem solve. Zelda had puzzles, and obviously, she wouldn't let us just play all day, but she knew what we were doing wasn't just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of parents were anti-video game, these are going to rot your brain, all this stuff. Whereas she was very open and thought it was cool. We were, and especially because we were working together on it,
Yeah.
Alex would play and I'd watch, and oftentimes he'd play games and I'd watch, or we'd play together, but I liked watching. Because then I'd be like, okay, when I play, I'm going to do this, or I might try this out instead. So I never thought it was. I always thought it was fun to watch my brothers play. Because when I finally get my go, I can try some different things out.
Yes, awesome.
So that's how we kind of and then we love the characters, the story. Obviously the story's funny and
Hmm.
it's got some issues, especially when you come back and play it now. But
Yeah.
at the time when you're kids, you think it's like the coolest thing ever and like
It's still
mind blowing.
even with the what I think are fair critiques you could level at it, it is still so charming and
Totally.
it's still fun, and I I even find like any excuse to sort of like go back to it every few years. Like when I was telling you about when I bought the DS version and ended up playing it last year.
Hmm.
I didn't finish it. I've never finished this game, as you know. But I think I put in like 10 hours, maybe got into I even had texted you about the boss that like beat me once, and then I just didn't end up going back to it over Christmas break. But even seeing that with like a fresh coat of paint, which I know people have even more critiques for the DS version,
Yeah.
was so much fun. So there's a lot of ways that are about a lot of details about this game that are not
Hmm.
surprising to me that they have like been held in such high regard by you and so many other people.
Yeah, definitely.
I like hearing the detail too about Andy likely seeing this at a friend's house and
Hmm.
imagining the butterfly effect of
Right.
that in through both of our lives too. You know,
Hmm.
you were the person who introduced me to so many styles of games, but especially RPGs.
Yeah.
Between the two I really think of are like my earliest RPGs that helped me sort of wrap my head around the genre were the original Pokemon games
Hmm.
and also this game in
Hmm.
particular, because I remember you showing this off to me at your house, and I also had a similar fascination with it because I'd never seen anything really like it.
Right.
So just thinking about whoever that friend was that Andy saw play this, I'm really honestly really glad for that.
Yeah, same here.
I want to do a little bit of scene painting now to
Sure.
continue to get you in the mindset of like remembering what it was like playing this game and other details. I want you to scene paint the room where you would have played this the most. So whether that was your childhood bedroom on Boston Way or another room there, what's the room that comes to mind?
Two kind of stick out. The first was when my brother Alex and I shared a room. We had a bunk bed, and then we had the Super Nintendo in there, so we'd mostly like play in there. The second one was when we moved to our house in Ripon, and we got back into this game. Like Alex got really like hell bent on beating it, and I remember like we got like towards the end of the game, and he needed to like level up his characters. I
Yeah.
remember he's like, "Can you just like grind for a little, like level my guys up while I like?" And I don't know if he had like football practice or something, but like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So then I'm just sitting there like leveling up the guys forever, and then like we end up beating it, and it's kind of cool because I helped contribute a bit. But I think those two rooms are kind of the big ones.
Yeah.
Whether it was it's just those two eras for sure.
That's great. I want let's though for the exercise then
Yeah.
let's focus on the room that you at one point shared where the bunk beds were. Can you for the listener sort of describe what the room looked like? Tell me some details that you remember, how it was situated. What comes to mind?
Standard 15 by 15 foot room. No, it was we had we had the room, we had the bunk bed in the corner, and then we had like a desk. But the desk was like L shaped in a way,
Yeah.
and it kind of went around, it wrapped around the other corner of the room. And that's where the TV was with all the, and that desk had different shelves that had like stuff on it.
And were you
Um,
if for me too, was the room you shared, was it the corner room that he would eventually get, or was it the middle room like that was kind of right up the stairs?
the middle room that was up the stairs that I ended up having by myself when he
Yes.
got the other room. Yeah, we shared that middle room first.
Gotcha.
And it was all set up like that. Then we had our dresser in the other corner. Then we had like the closet that had
Mhm.
like all the stuff in there. So it was kind of like, we had it all kind of like spread out to where if we wanted to, we could sit on the floor and play, or like we could like I could like watch from like the top bunk and
Yeah.
like watch like from up here. So like there was like two different ways we used to do it. Eventually, my brother Alex moved to the corner room, and I want to say the Super Nintendo stayed in my room.
Yeah.
It did. The Super
That
Nintendo stayed in my room, but the 64 was in his
that makes sense. I
or
remember
something.
the Super Nintendo being in your room a lot because that was the house that we were first becoming friends. When we were first becoming friends, that's the house you guys lived in
Yeah.
for I think like 3 or 4 years until you moved to Ripon. But I remember Super Nintendo being around a lot. I'm sure you brought the N64 in occasionally. I don't know if you had to get permission to do that from Alex or what, but I swear we must have played the N64 there, or
We
even
definitely
in the living
did.
room.
Maybe at that point he had moved on to the PlayStation 2? It's hard
It's
to
probably getting
remember.
close to that.
I think he had his own stuff in his room. I think
Yes.
I think he got the PlayStation 2 in there, and then he let me just take the 64.
Oh,
And
that
that's
would make
mainly
sense.
what we did.
Yeah.
Because we even had the GameCube in that house.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that room too, because there was the one it was just one window, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, the window that looked out to the backyard and the street behind.
Yep. And
Now
because
that
the TV wasn't right below it, but a little to the left.
Yep, in the corner.
How can I dig that far back?
I don't know, but you got it. You got
yeah.
it down because that desk I was telling you about, like wrapped around, and then it had like multiple shelves, right?
Yes.
And then that window looked out to the backyard, and then
Mhm.
the street behind. Now, when we first moved into that house, it was all orchards back there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like nothing. And now there's like tons of houses, a new high school, and all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff, like businesses, everything. Like it's crazy how it's changed, but
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. I love you. You've done a great job of bringing us back there, you know, and imagining the space. I know that you've already shared a fun detail about like watching Alex play or like sharing the game in there, and your other, you know, your later story when you guys had moved to Ripon and sharing that game. I would love to know from you, what are some standout moments or elements from the game that you love and think of to this day?
yeah. So my brother Alex actually he wanted me to share some of his as well.
Ooh.
So I'll make sure I do
So
his.
the Alex correspondence.
Yeah, he talked quite a bit. He said, okay, so first of all, this is pretty funny. But he says he remembered that Andy, our oldest brother, on the original one, he named, because you can name your characters, right?
Yes.
He named Tella ZZ Top. And,
Awesome.
and he said, I thought it was funny, but obviously didn't get the reference.
Yeah.
So Tella was named ZZ Top in Andy's file.
That's great.
He said, the agony of deleting save files, which,
Ugh.
yes, that happened to us many times.
Because I remember, I think that game only had 3, right? Like, it was kind of standard?
4.
4.
But there was one time where we booted it up and all the files were just gone. And we're like,
That is devastating.
it happened. It happened with ask anyone who had those games back then. That happened. He says, so he remembers fighting the 4 fiends.
Mm-hmm.
And he called them the 4 friends because that's like how he read it. He thought it said 4 friends,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, "Why don't I have to beat up my friends?" And like he was confused by that. So the 4 friends was funny. It says, spoiler alert: Palom and Porum sacrificing themselves remains a low key, heartbreaking moment in gaming history.
Yeah.
And then he said, above all, the game was the first I ever played that truly told an epic story. It showed how video games could achieve what movies or books can do as a storytelling vehicle with fleshed out characters. It had emotion, music, and you really felt as you journeyed along with the characters. And it was really cool to discover and meet new characters along the way, with the exception of Edward.
I love it. Was that
Yeah.
the end of the correspondence, or
The last one was
Yeah, go ahead.
he mentioned that once you got the airship and you could like explore the world, that was like the first time he felt like it's absolute freedom in a game. It was limited, but like flying around the map was like really cool. Which, yeah, I agree with all his sentiments there. For me,
That's awesome.
me personally, I think the Paladin part's cool when he goes Dark Knight to Paladin. When Cecil has his Mount Ordeals moment,
Yes.
I thought that was really really neat.
even what they do with it mechanically
Mhm.
is so cool. I had kind of forgotten about this until revisiting it this last fall, but the fact that you just need to, I think you just need to defend and you'll outlast the Dark Knight, I
You're,
believe.
you're supposed to not do anything.
Okay.
We didn't get that.
Yeah.
Because the translation's
course.
weird. The translation says something like "to be a real paladin," and then like it goes away. The text goes away, and then it pops up again. It says, "You must not fight now," and then it goes away, and then it's like, "To be a real paladin, you must not fight now." And it's like,
Yes.
what does that mean? So like we never knew. We just beat the crap out of him because that's all we knew what to do. We kept
Yeah.
healing and healing and healing and fighting, and like we would eventually just like win. And we just thought that was what you're supposed to do. But
Yeah.
then the newer games tell you like don't do anything, which is like. Yeah, it was a translation thing, but yes, that part definitely stands out to me. I remember we really struggled with the wall boss, the boss that slowly gets closer to you. It's like a living wall.
Okay.
And then if you don't beat him in time, he kills the whole party. And it was like, because you have to like just you either have to take him out really fast, or if I found out later, you could cast slow, and then it slows him down a little bit. But
with it's so funny with this that game in general it was one of my first RPGs like you. So this was we probably had a similar experience in having there being sort of like a gimmick to boss battles, and whether it be when you fight the like mist dragon at the beginning that you're not supposed to attack when it's mist, or that boss, that's very clever and creative thing that the game did, which is obviously incredibly influential to this day.
Which is like more that, it's a tutorial. It's you learn through doing it without the game being like, make sure you do this, like popping up a bunch of things like a lot of modern games are now. Like, it's like,
yes,
press this button, do this, and then do this button. It's just straight up like the characters tell you like, don't attack when it turns into mist, and then it's like you're playing the game, you're figuring it out as you go, and that kind of sets the precedent of like some boss battles are going to require a gimmick or something different. Like you might have to cast a wall on a party member and then reflect, and then have a spell bounce off the reflect.
Yes.
That was neat that there was different problem solving in fights.
Yeah. The problem solving of it all, even if it took you several battles to get through it, it did feel very satisfying to be able to pull that off in this game. You had mentioned something else that I found really interesting. It's escaping me now, but yeah, all these details are so fun to reflect on. It's wonderful. Yeah,
there's so much to the game and so many moments that were interesting. I mean, we haven't talked about the music, but the music's really good. The opening scene with that song, the Red Wing song, is like really powerful.
One of my favorite tracks in music, or maybe music too, but video game music specifically. Just hearing the rhythm of that opening and the slow fade as you see all the airships.
It's like an Imperial March like homage. It sounds like the Imperial March in a way, Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, they really nailed it. That would have been Uematsu doing the score for this game back then. But I think I kind of interrupted you as you were going on to another detail.
Oh no, just even the Star Wars connections in Final Fantasy are always pretty like, there's a lot of them. Like Golbez, the villain in this game, is very Darth Vader-y.
Yes.
And even his theme song sounds very like Imperial Marchy and very like Vader-y, like, but with like an organ that almost sounds like a Dracula, like like his theme is very like it's organs, and it almost sounds like it's like I get like Castlevania vibes with it sometimes.
Definitely. I remembered the thing that had come to mind. You, especially with Alex's correspondence on this episode, I remember you telling me at one point, we must have still been in high school, that Alex, and I'm sorry to put him on blast, that he was taking a college class and brought like a Game Boy Advance or an SP to class and would just play that version of this game and wasn't really like paying attention.
Okay, so
does that ring a bell?
So a couple things that Alex used to do was when we were in college together, first of all, we took classes together because we were both communications majors, and we were in the same comm class, and he had this it was like a portable DVD player at the time. And he hacked onto it a Super Nintendo emulator, and he would sit there with a PlayStation 3 controller, Bluetooth, and he would play it while the professor was lecturing. He'd be in the middle of playing Mario or something. He'd be like killing it. Then like he'd be like looking down playing, and then like the person's doing a lecture, and then he pops in and goes, "Well, I also agree that the theory blah blah," and then he like comes with this like really like intelligent thought, and everyone's like looking at him like, is he paying attention? Like he's playing a video game. He's just like, well, actually, the theory. He like has this like really like eloquent like communication.
Yeah,
thing.
Maybe he was like, sometimes some of us like our brains are working in the background while we're not really participating as much. So maybe he was doing something like that, or he was coming up with stuff in advance to like pass off that he was paying attention. Either way, it's impressive.
I think it made him focus better. So
interesting.
Whatever it worked, and the teacher was cool with it, I guess, because like they never said anything. But so that anyway. Side tangent.
Yes.
He did get we got the Game Boy Advance version of Final Fantasy IV, and he was playing it in class. I think he borrowed my DS and he was playing it in class. And I was in the middle of high school, like I was in Spanish class or something, and he texts me, dude, how the F do you deal with the elf? Like the dark elf, what am I supposed to be doing? Because he forgot that you can't have a
Metal
you have to.
armor.
Yeah, it's like the metal armor. You have to talk to Edward first. I think he forgot to talk to Edward.
Yeah.
So he got to this part, and like he just kept getting like stomped by that elf, and he's like, "What's going on?" So like, I just remember getting that text from him in the middle of class, and I thought it was so funny.
That's amazing. That was a point. Actually, specifically the one time I played, which I have the cart. I played a ton of the GBA version. That was the first point where I was beating my head against the wall, and then I finally just Googled what to do. But
yeah,
amazing. I had that memory of you telling me about this story is still in my brain.
So
yeah,
you mentioned Google.
Yes.
When we had this game growing up, we couldn't just get on the internet and look up what to do. So a lot of times we were trying to figure things out, and there was actually I think a kid in our neighborhood that would come over and like try to figure things out with us.
Yeah.
So it was kind of playing a big game like this, and it was really funny because I was thinking about before the podcast, my most recent time playing through this game, I breezed through it pretty easy, right? I got through it fast. I think I played the Pixel remaster when it came out just because I wanted it. And I played it on PC, and like I blew through the game. I had no issues.
Yeah.
I remembered how to do everything. It felt easy. And then even like things like, I feel like Cecil became a paladin really fast. Because I remember being a kid, that took forever to get there,
Yeah.
and it took forever to get anywhere. And like going back on it now, it just feels so simpler. But when we were younger, playing through it, it felt like this epic undertaking of a game.
Yes. Yeah, especially when you don't know a game as well, and there is something to playing games as children, and maybe not just being as well equipped to figure things out or to understand what the game is asking of you. Sometimes I look back on early parts of RPGs too, and I'm like, how was that early in the game? It feels like it was halfway through, sort of.
Yeah.
I love that, buddy. I want to know from you. I've still got a few more questions for you while we're here. Are there any more like contextual points from your life that you sort of remember around this period? And this could be, a memory of playing this game, which you've already given us so much of, or just like things you would have been doing at the age when this game really hit you. Sort of like sense memory stuff, if any of that comes up. Could be, it doesn't even have to be specific.
Yeah, it's a really good question that's making me kind of rack my brain because I'm trying to like think. This game has
played this so many times in your life, so
it's been a part of my life since as long as I can remember. I mean, that's where it's crazy because this game has always been around my life. I've always had a way to play it, I guess. Alex and I, my brother, we'll still like bring this game up sometimes or reference like we'll say like Tella this or like the guy looks like Tella or something like we'll like or like that guy's as useless as Edward or something. Like it's interesting that this game for what it is like has had such a impact on me. Because I could go back to like childhood, like sitting in the room. Mom's saying time for dinner, and like, go down and then, or just being interested in the characters. I remember, it's funny. I don't know how this just popped in my brain, but I remember, because when I was little, we had the game and then there was a gap where we didn't have it for a while. Then we rebought it, right? I remember thinking in my brain, like I was trying to, like before we bought it again, I was trying to be like, well, did the characters stand on the left? Or did they stand on the right in battle? I don't remember. Like, what did Yang look like? Did he wear armor? I don't remember if he wore, I remember he was orange. I think he was orange. Yeah. And there's all these like things. And then like I got to fill in those gaps when I played it again.
Wow.
So that's a memory I have. Like I was so into the game that like I was trying to remember, like I didn't want to forget anything about it.
My memory is fading at my old age.
And I do think because of how like much we loved that game, that's why we were so hyped and like so obsessed with Final Fantasy VII too. Because since we already knew Final Fantasy, we were all like once that game came out, our minds were blown because it was like this is what this can be. Also, we had no idea what happened to Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6. That just slipped our mind. But
because you wouldn't play 6 until later.
We rented 3.
You rented 3. Excuse me. Yes,
and we thought it was too hard. Because it didn't grip us like this game did.
Yeah,
it didn't grip us because it's different. It's not as linear, and it's not as on rails with the characters. You get more
Mm-hmm.
customization. So I do remember we would rent three, and we just like we never really got into it. And then I remember Alex tried playing another file that was like on the rented the cartridge, and this file was already in like the world of ruin, and we're like flying around in the airship. We're like, what are we supposed to be doing? And, like we're all mad, and like we're looking at the party. We're like, who's this old guy? Who's
Yes.
Strago? You know, stuff. So,
That's fantastic. Well, before we head to the end of the show and walk you through some fun post-show segments, I'd love for you to give you a chance to sort of just put on a bow on what place Final Fantasy 2/4 holds for you.
I would say it's still my favorite Final Fantasy game out of all of them, including 7, including 6, and I really like 6. I know it has its flaws as a game, but that's what makes it really endearing. It's always fun to like go back and play through it again. Um, I this game means a lot to me. It always will. I'm glad that I'm happy I still have our original copy of it right here.
Man.
And the Pixel remaster was great. I thought the songs were cool. The everything about it was great. But the Super Nintendo version just really like is nostalgic for me. So I love this game. Always will.
I love it. Well, I'm glad that, Andy saw it at his friend's house, that you
I
and
know.
Alex were captured by it, that it made its mark on me too. Because that it in certain ways changed my life as well. Even if it didn't have the same exact impact, it still just meant a lot and got me into the genre. So Eddie, thank you so much for sharing about your time with this game and bringing it on. I'm really glad that it was you who got to talk about this on this show, considering your history. So thanks, buddy.
293 episodes and no one's talked about it. That blows my mind.
What a gosh dang shame. Before we go, I've got 2 segments to get us into. The first of which is the Fact Me by Your Game segment, which the show has changed so little that when listening to your episode today, I did these last 2 segments on the first episodes like yours. So this fun fact comes from the video titled Final Fantasy Part 3 from Did You Know Gaming, feat Boku no Eruption, which is a YouTube creator. I will put a link to this video in the show notes. The fact I've titled Oh No Pogo. Now, starting in spring 1992, Squaresoft published a newsletter titled The Ogopogo Examiner, named after an enemy in Final Fantasy IV. You didn't happen to be aware of this newsletter, did you?
No idea.
I don't know where they released it. I don't think it was something that was like popping up in Nintendo Power, but it was maybe even was like a Japanese exclusive thing. But in the very first issue, they addressed a glitch in certain copies of Final Fantasy 2/4, where in the game, if the player were to go back and forth between the same door or set of stairs 64 times, then in a row, then the game would freeze, glitch, or become unplayable. So if you were to just walk through a door, and you know how your player in this game always takes one step out from the thing, if you were to go back in and do that 64 times, your game could glitch. And the way they addressed it in the newsletter is they actually took a cheeky approach to addressing it and saying that this was caused by the curse of extinction cast by the game's final boss, Zeromus. So saying you can see in the video, if you pause it, you can read the whole little, basically paragraph. But I just thought this was very funny that in a newsletter that they created, this was addressed in the first ever edition, basically.
Yeah. Who figures that out? I mean, going back and forth 64
Yeah,
times.
are you just like that would be something that I would imagine like the developer would find by trying to test for bugs, but I guess people messed around with games too. Again, I'll put a link to that video in the show notes, but that'll do it for the Fact Me by Your Game segment. I will lead us into the final one for the episode, the game recommendations. Now, Eddie, you might remember that this segment is my forced tie-in to the movie Call Me By Your Name, where I'm going to treat Final Fantasy 2/4 as your passionate summer fling that you had one beautiful, beautiful summer that unfortunately is not going to last. So in order to help you get over what I'm sure is just a deep and difficult heartbreak, I've got 3 other recommendations for games that all have something a little in common with Final Fantasy 2/4. Before I present those to you, I need to know, though, are you ready to get back out there?
Yeah, put me in, coach. I'm ready.
I love the enthusiasm. This guy's ready for it. So I've got 3 for you today. The first one is if what you want to play another great introductory RPG, because I would consider Final Fantasy 2/4 a great intro RPG for someone. I'll recommend a game called Costume Quest. Have you ever heard of Costume Quest? I'll put a link to a little trailer for it. This is a Halloween-themed RPG, turn-based RPG made by the folks over at Double Fine. It did so well they made a sequel. But apparently it's awesome and great as an intro. So there's your first one.
Yeah, it looks kind of. I'm looking at the art right now. It looks fun.
It looks very cute.
It kind of looks South Parky.
It does look South Parky. I could have recommended a South Park game on this list, but there isn't one. Have you played either of the South Park RPGs?
Oh yeah, those are fantastic.
I played the Stick of Truth part of it, and I really liked it as well.
It does have some scaling issues, but
okay, with difficulty.
I just remember it being like way too easy at some point. At least Stick of Truth was. I think Fractured Butthole was a little bit different.
Okay, gotcha. So that's your first one, Costume Quest. The second one, I'm imagining, what if, Eddie, in your childhood, instead of a Super Nintendo, you had a Sega Genesis?
Ooh, I think I know where this is going.
You may have been playing a game called Phantasy Star 4. Have you ever dabbled with the Phantasy Star series?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've played. I think number 2 was number 2 a Genesis game.
I think 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, I did play 2 a little bit on an emulator just because I was curious, and it was pretty cool. It is different though.
I think in the future installments get a little more sci-fi and futuristic, but this one remains more fantasy based. Yeah. And again, folks, that's fantasy with a PH. Lastly, your final recommendation. This game, of course, we know, was titled Final Fantasy II. It should have been titled Final Fantasy IV because that's the installment number it was in the series. I don't know how to segue to this next part. I'm just going to say one word. I'm recommending a game called Golf Story. Eddie, have you ever played Golf Story?
So I personally have not played Golf Story, but I know that you had it and you loved it and you recommended it way back when you first got your Switch.
Yes.
And I've always kind of been curious, but never really played it.
You know, I can't remember if you had the similar experience to me of dabbling with Mario Camelot sports RPGs.
Oh yeah, Tennis, Mario Tennis.
Yeah, the ones that they made for the Game Boy Color specifically, Tennis and Golf, are so reminiscent of this game. I thought it was a great spiritual successor to those. And so if you want to get a little more sports into your RPG, that one I think is also great for intros because it's mostly just golf, but you can choose how you play.
Yeah, the Game Boy Color had some bangers.
It really did. Well, I'll recap your 3 recommendations today. Please. We have Costume Quest, Phantasy Star 4, and Golf Story. That'll do it for the recommendations. That will bring us to the end of the show. So, Eddie, before we go and head out of here, once again, buddy, thank you so much for coming back to the show. This is awesome to hear from you about a game that I know means quite a great deal. So thanks, buddy. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on for the 13th time. I think this is your 13th appearance. Yes. Lucky number 13. Well, on your way out, I know you said you had no real plugs up top, right? No, not really. I don't have much to plug. Just that's okay, buddy. Support. To make sure I didn't miss anything. Support NPC Radio. Become a patron. Be an engineer toad. Be a DJ toad. Very sweet of you. Well, thanks again, buddy. I'll just go ahead and finish off the show by giving some plugs of my own, which, of course, listener, you can find, like I already said, in the show notes below, including a link to our cover artist, Glenn J's Instagram. You can go find him there. This show is produced, edited, and the original music that you hear throughout is done by Jeremy Schmidt. You can find Call Me By Your Game all over social media. So if you don't already, be sure to give us a follow over at Blue Sky, Instagram, and check out our YouTube channel, which we make a video version of every episode, including this one. So if you want to see a cool Hornet figure or Eddie's original copy of Final Fantasy II, go subscribe to us on YouTube and watch the video version of this. You can also follow me on Blue Sky and Twitch if you'd like. And then lastly, again, if you want to support the show, if you can't get enough of this podcast and you just want to hear me talk about video games more with other people, consider supporting us at Super NPC Radio over on Patreon. Got a link in the show notes to that. Again, you can subscribe at the free $2, $5, or $10 tier for varying bonuses. And in fact, coming next week, or what just came out and is going to be out for free next week, I do a monthly version of this show that I mentioned in Eddie's introduction, the co-op series, where instead of talking to one person about a game that means a lot to them, we get a panel on and do more of an overview recap of one game at a time. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hour episodes. I just released an episode about Spider-Man 2. No, not Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Yes, the movie tie-in game, Spider-Man 2. I played that for the first time since it came out, and there's a story about Eddie. I actually bring you up on the episode. There's one story that I'll leave to the listener to find. But again, the co-op series is great, and if you don't have access to that on your tier on Patreon, it comes out a week later for free on YouTube. So if you want to listen to the episodes, I make them available to everyone after a week. So check it out there for more bonus stuff from me. But that's going to do it for another episode of Call Me By Your Game. We will see you on the next one.